It's around education, I think, but I want to understand. The relationship is not with the government, okay? It's with the same the same as the else. United States, it doesn't matter if it's the United States, it's a beneficial Republicans. And the support for the war is different than support for the government. Israel and United States. Elections, and in the election, not for the government. But this is not I know that questions at the end. I know in John's rooms, no questions allowed. Questions are a distraction. But I have a question, which is like, where is this coming from?
It's all over the place. These are the anti-Semitic memes that you hear elsewhere.
But let her answer. I'm going to share a documentary by an Israeli filmmaker.
Okay, thank you.
That explains the American system and how it works counter to the Israelis' interests.
Can I ask you a personal question? Like, do you remember which friend of yours recommended this documentary? Was it like a friend who you're still cool with?
Was this like a mind virus, authentic?
Is it like a mind virus that somebody like Gates?
Jack, I'm not interested in your friends, and we've heard enough.
You need to know the friend's name.
Wait, let me ask Buttercup a question.
I don't even need an answer to the question.
Okay, good. Contact her back channel. It's not interesting to the room.
Wait, moderators, let me help clear this. Let me help clear up this conflict. Let me just ask Buttercup a question. Buttercup.
I was in the middle of speaking, though.
Buttercup, if you were president of Israel, what would you do for your people? What are the top 3 priorities for you if you were the supreme leader of Israel?
President is little power.
Okay, if you were the absolute leader of Israel, Buttercup, what would you do for your people? Give us 3 priorities.
Go ahead. Well, wait, what was wrong with my question? I asked a question, then I was
Okay, so can Buttercup answer that question? Because
she has trouble staying on topic. It's not a personal matter. We don't care about her friends. We've heard enough from her. She wants a one-state solution. She wants to bring the Palestinians into.
I'm open to 2 states. I recognize that 2 states has gotten much farther, so
that's not going to happen either, Buttercup.
Okay, so Harry, you just don't. You're a rejectionist.
I'm a realist. After October 7th, they're not going to go and taking them hostage as a present for them for giving them a present a state.
That's why they have no party.
That makes absolutely no sense.
That's why
And explain to her, Harry, why it wouldn't happen.
Because October 7th will happen over and over again if we get California country.
You're reinforcing the narrative that Israel is not a partner for peace. That's what you're doing, Harry.
No, Harry, Buttercup, Princess Buttercup, did you not see the problem that having terrorists around you creates terror? Israel is done with that.
Okay.
Israel tried out peace many times in history, and they were rejected every single time.
What does it have to do with Kahanis?
They're terrorists.
What is
it's a terrorist ideology?
Kahanis is not a terrorist ideology.
By living in peace.
On one hand.
No, but by living with wanting peace for you in your neighbors in your own country, to not want your children to not want to be able to not want to bury your own children, that's a honest ideology.
Alright. I gotta go, guys, for real. It's not
to go.
I'll come back at 5. I actually have a job that pays money.
That's your message for a good book to read.
Yeah, read my book too. But read your show.
Before you go, I know you have 2 seconds. Is it a honest ideology to not want to bury your own children?
No. If it's a yes or no answer, no. It's not a kind of ideology to not want to bury old children. It's also not a kind of ideology to want water when you live in the West Bank.
But is it all? What other country did the United States, when they went to war with Vietnam and the other countries they went to war with, did they bring water supply, food supplies for them?
All right, this is a cruel and inhuman.
No, it's not. That's a legit question because how is that?
You're right. Fuck it. Fuck children. Fuck people. Who cares if children die?
Fuck children. You're right. Like, children should be preserved and saved, but you have to look at who's putting the children in harm's way.
All right, I gotta go. Sorry.
Why?
Hamas suggests the
How come Hamas never thought of this before putting their children in harm's way? Why is this Israel's responsibility? How come people don't understand this?
Don't start a war you're not prepared to lose.
Exactly. You can't punch a guy in the head with a gun and you only have a walking stick and then complain that he shot you.
Don't yell, baby. See, it's coming from a complete Palestinian point of view. It's not a Jewish perspective. It's at one talk.
get along if they didn't shoot rockets into Israel and then invade Israel on October 7th. I'm talking also before October 7th. These people think that before October 7th they deserve to
guys, from the 70s, the late 70s, man, even the early 70s. I was there in 78. The fucking home I was living in got blown up by a fucking Katyusha rocket. This is not new. I don't understand how people are saying this is new. Like, when I was 1 year old, I had to be rushed back to Canada. My mother rushed me back instead of staying there to get operated on. But to come back to Canada to go through surgery, extremely sick. This is not like, let's talk about 2021. No, this has been going on for decades. People have been shooting rockets into Israel.
But we're not feeding them well enough.
When I was living there, I remember we had a thing new. This is in the fucking 90s, man. This is like going back and back. We can keep going back to 48. It's nothing. I just don't understand. Like, these people don't understand history, and they think that now, after October 7th, they deserve a fucking country. Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
Exactly.
I bet you they would have had a better chance if they brought us baklava instead of killing our children.
I just wanted to say, I think it's really unfortunate what you had to go through, BB.
That's nothing compared to what Jews and Israeli citizens, mind you, they're Muslim, they're Hindus, they're Jews, they're Punjabi, they're Sikhs. Like, I don't know if I confused that one up, but there are all kinds of religions inside Israel living, and all they want is peace.
And there are ones in tunnels.
Yeah,
right now.
that's true.
Or wherever they're being held.
Julian, you were the one who wrote Free Palestine?
I never did that. No, I didn't.
He writes it in the rooms, in Amir's rooms, in the Free Palestine rooms.
No,
he comes in here acting like he's an advocate for Israel.
No, I don't.
I think that woman's been in Amir's room for months. I don't think she's been on the app for a couple days. I seem to remember her there.
It's a very long time, for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then just in the Mikhail room, same thing, anti-Israel. She wants the same thing that the Palestinians want, which is the one-state solution, which means bringing our enemies into our country. The people who want to kill us. The people who tell us they want to kill us.
Demographic typo.
It's not just demographic. They want to kill us.
Get the vote.
It doesn't. Wait. Before that, they want to kill us. They said they want to kill us. Never mind the voting. That's the least of the problem. Or they want to create a state for them on our border with the ability to arm up and to attack us. It's really nonsensical. I mean, that's Semitic. He left. What? He didn't tell you this, but she left Judaism.
She's Jewish, but she is anti-Semitic.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I think one thing you have to realize is that it's politic.
No, guys, she's not Jewish, and she's not doing takia. I mean, there is like this war on truth, and a lot of people that, I mean, part of it is because she's Jewish, but because it's pulling on those like Jewish morals. She's just like misinformed. Palestinian narrative is very well packaged, and she needs help. Like, I don't think that she's doing it on purpose.
It's not even that unusual. There are other Jews who are anti-Semitic. They're not that rare.
I don't think that it's anti-Semitism. I think it's closer to what Daniel said, and I gotta be honest, Norm. I mean, I feel strongly. I mean, I don't know any of you guys, but I have a very strong opinion of you guys. Norm, I love you very much. I don't want to say I love you because I don't even fucking know you. But I didn't mean to move you to the audience. But we don't have to talk about that. I was upset because I was interrupted. But look, about Buttercup, my point is I really think that you guys are missing the point. I think Daniel is the closest to the point, or maybe Yaakov is also good. All of you guys are well-intentioned. But I don't think she's anti-Semitic. I don't think she's hateful. I think she's more like indoctrinated. I think she's more like me from 10 years ago. And the thing is, you know, if you met me from 10 years ago, it would have been trash bag times 10, and I would have only been welcome in Amir's rooms, and I would have been friends with those guys, and down a horrible, horrible, horrible path. And so,
getting into psychoanalysis, right?
Yes, very much. Very much.
Looking at what you see right before your eyes.
But you've got to look past what you see right before your eyes, right? Because there's so many. It's a very Jewish philosophy. I don't even know the Hebrew words, but there's the world that we see, and then there's the world behind the world, and then there's the creation of that, and then there's the Ein Sof, which was before that, or Norm can help me out, or something like that, you know, and everybody else. If these people are misinformed, then you must, and this is like it's a tall ask, it's a high order, but you must then become a teacher, you know, and so the challenge is, I think, what's that?
I don't know enough to be teaching.
Well, then stay on mute, you know.
You can't teach people that don't want to be taught.
Well,
You understand?
yeah, but you got to sneak up on them.
It's not going to change anything. We've been doing it on a mix. So, I mean, like, I agree with you. I'm all for education. But it's unfortunate that indoctrination, took hold of these people's thought process. So, and it's not even indoctrination. It's just a hatred for Jews. That's what it comes down to.
This
We're always going to have these people.
It's a hatred for herself.
What
She's
is
an
Hasbara?
it means explanation. As a Jew, I advocate for the destruction of Israel. That's what she's doing. The things that she's advocating lead directly to the genocide.
Yeah, but she's advocating for the best that we can do on us is Hasbara.
I spoke to
Egalitarian.
What she said,
I think
that she hates Israel and it needs to be dismantled because it's immoral. I was listening to her review nights ago. She said she hates Israel so much she needs to be dismantled.
listen, I saw Zionist Jews, and I don't think that she's one of those that advocate. I think that she's actually looking to find out because she is listening, she is checking.
No, Danny, I think you're wrong. She's coming with her pre-assumptions about Israel.
Yes,
Israel is
she
a
is
bad
coming with
thing.
pre-assumptions. You're correct. She's coming with pre-assumptions. I didn't know a lot of them, like every fucking sentence.
She also believes that everyone's equal. Like she wants, I hope I pronounce this word right, I never can, egalitarianism. She just thinks, everyone should have the same say in the matter.
You're getting into psychoanalysis.
But that's where it comes from. It's deeply embedded within...
No, you're describing what you do, Yaakov. You're projecting. You're projecting.
It's not coming from a safety standpoint. It's coming from if we just give them what they want, they'll just not want to kill us.
Right. That failed, unfortunately. Pragmatically, she now advocates for the end of Israel.
Yeah.
And it plays right into the hands of the people who openly advocate for the end of Israel, i.e. genocide. So that's what we're looking at now.
Right.
And the value in Israel is the Jewish character of Israel. It's not anything else. It could be other things.
Yeah, for me, more importantly, it's the safety of the Jewish people. If we are spread throughout the world, it's easier to kill us. If we have one place to go to, where we can defend ourselves, it's a lot harder to stamp us out. If it is defend the United States, I'm going there, and I want there to be safe.
Right, that's a common explanation. But besides that explanation, there's the character of the state of Israel, which is an unprecedented thing in the modern world. A country that is the Jewish state. There hasn't been a Jewish state in modern history.
2,000 years.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point out what my friend said, that we don't have like taxi drivers or people like killing random Israelis. That's because, and somebody should have pointed out, this is because of the amount of control Israel has. Back in 2014, 15, with the Maidin Intifada, right? What's it called? Sufetan. Like there were people like Israel did not have so much control over what it does. If the Jewish state didn't have the amount of control that we have, then people would have been killed in the streets. And people, I mean, nobody pointed that out to her.
May I say something again? Because I just came back and I was listening for a long time. And at that time, I said, why are you giving this woman a platform for hours? And I came back and there she was again. I heard her say, one state, two state, who cares?
Exactly, good point.
And she also said, now I can't even believe can't think of the word. Coming back, for God's sake, help me. Coming back to Israel is called, or wanting a Jew. No, but just the normal word. Oh my God. Zionism. Yeah, thank you. She goes, Zionism is a new word or something like that. And I'm like, when I was a kid, we had cards from Israel, and we put dimes in a card. Like there were 10 dimes, we could plant a tree in honor of anybody we wanted to honor. Okay, Zionism is not a new word. I mean, technically, Herzog, whatever. But my ancestors have always, don't we pray next year in Jerusalem? Have any of you heard that?
At the end of the Passover Seder. At the end of the Passover Seder. Next year.
We also pray 3 times a day for Jerusalem to be restored.
Okay, so when I first got on to this Clubhouse and to X, I was like, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to the Black Israelites, I talked to Nazis, and I believe in optimism and conversation and freedom of speech. I really do. And then I was hearing stuff about Zionism, and I go, what do you mean by Zionism? I mean planting trees. What do you mean? And there's this whole language is really important. The word Zionism now is a pejorative. Okay, it's a dirty word. Okay, I don't know what.
For some, that's propaganda. For some,
exactly. Yes, that's what I'm referring to. How could it go like that? And then I've gone even deeper, and I don't know who, but they've rewritten the Talmud to be a racist, pedophile-filled crap.
This is also a lie. They've never seen a Talmud in their life. This is pure anti-Semitism, Kareem.
I know that. I'm just saying that this is the new, whatever, the new Jew.
Not new. We've been dealing with this for thousands of years.
I know. This is the new form. It's just what I'm saying.
I get you. Listen, it's just like racism. There isn't any difference to it. Racism is hating somebody because of who they are. Same thing as anti-Semitism. By the way, they're having the same struggle, for example, and I see this in a person who claims to be an Indian in the room. AC Spacey. It's the same thing in India. There's a struggle between Muslims and Hindus there, and they hate each other because who they are. People hate people who are different than them. Now, the only problem is that we're not going to allow people to kill us just because they hate us. That's all. Israel has every right to defend itself against hatred. It's very simple.
But the point of this room is to create a safe space. And as I'm repeating myself, last time I was in here, I said, the room is full of incredible people. I would love to hear their ideas on how to go forward with all of this.
But Corinne, this communication is normal. This is what happens every day on Clubhouse, and it's been going on for 5 years. This is actually what really happens on Clubhouse. What you've listened to, and even what you're saying.
Okay, I don't understand what that has to do with what I just said, which is I would love to hear from the other people in the room, and instead, and okay, I'm a therapist, so she took control for hours.
She wanted to censor herself, and so we got to be engaged in a dialogue, Jew to Jew. I don't think it should continue. I agree with you, because in the end it becomes very personal, and then we're not really learning anything. She's just sort of trying to center herself and work out her ambivalence about her Jewish identity. That's what we're really looking at if you want to look at it from a psychological perspective. She's ambivalent about her Jewish identity. And she's acting out on that.
And you are all being very Jewish and very kind and sweet and listening and trying to educate her. I get that, and I love that. I love that about us, that we will do that. But 3 fucking hours, I think
I'll take as long as it needs to take. I honestly don't care.
Corinne,
it's just encouraging her to keep going.
Corinne, it's the dynamic. It is the fact that BB and other mods, and she sounds like a cute little girl, having her flamboyant opinions, her flippant opinions, her die on the hill, all or nothing opinions. That's her politic, though. And I don't think people realize that all communication is politics. And she is literally doing political projection in a Jewish, room or a Jewish audience. But I think most Jews should realize that in the future or now, you will always encounter other Jews who are radically politically, radical and political in their communication. So that's why I say don't entertain it. And I think you're right. Giving somebody a 3-hour platform is madness, but there's only one way to counteract that, and that's to censor it or change the conversation.
Or allow other people to speak. 3 hours is a really long time. So, moderator, whoever's leading the room can say, can we hear from somebody else or whatever? Or take a thread of what she said, like 1 state, 2 state. No, those are 2 different things.
They're 2 different things, which is hilarious, because what it shows that she doesn't have a clear conviction about it, something that she's arguing for. She just wants to be oppositional. So she centers herself. She has all this attention. I guess she enjoys the attention.
I think there's any more attention now that she's out of the room, frankly. She did what she does. She's very, like Devin said, she's oppositional and confrontational and obviously self-hating and ambivalent. And let's talk about the issue instead. So I want to, like I said, this is what's happening, the realignment of the world. And I'm not saying this like in some sort of conspiracy theory way. This is literally what's happening right now. Is that the United States, which is the world superpower, economically and militarily, undisputed, by the way, unopposed, the United States is saying to Israel, we want you to handle the show. Trump has given Israel whatever it needs to win the war, which is, I think, just and fitting, since we represent American interests in the region. And the American interests in the region are the Abraham Accords. The American interest and the world interest is peace. And the way to achieve the peace is for the Arab nations and for the Jewish nation and for Lebanon, which is a mixed Christian and Muslim nation, to get onto the same page and to do business and to get put all of this wasteful wars behind them. Everybody wants to join the Abraham Accords. So that's the direction that we're heading into. And same thing, by the way, with Ukraine and Europe. America says, Trump says to Europe, we want you to dedicate more of your GDP to the military. They're dedicating like 17% of their GDP to or less to the military, less than 2% to NATO specifically, and 40% to social programs. Meanwhile, the United States is dedicating far less of our GDP to social programs and more to the military, and most of all to our debt. So all of that stuff has to be addressed now in order to pose a credible opposition to China, which is what we're turning our face to now. So it's not even really a conversation anymore. I think the Arabs who live in the region, whatever they want to call themselves, Palestinians or Arabs or Hamas or PA, nobody wants to commit genocide, obviously. Nobody wants them all to leave, obviously. But it is non-negotiable that they be peaceful. Those that are not peaceful, they're going to be involved in a war, and they may.
Endeavored to force Israel to commit genocide, and Israel has done its best to avoid committing genocide.
Can I say something about the room title?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the problem when people start talking about genocide and the war is it just becomes that tunnel. But, in terms of Clubhouse safe space, the now is all important. And if you want to have safety and security, that means you need situational awareness. That means what you're listening to and what you're saying. But in my opinion, the biggest danger is not what you're saying, but what you're listening to. Because we are memory repeating boxes. And after you get conditioned with enough bullshit, you will come into these rooms and make it an unsafe space for other people and regurgitate the hate speech, racist nonsense that you have basically conditioned yourself on through all that other content. So I'm just saying that, in terms of situational awareness, I don't think that you can destroy a mind virus or help cure someone's mind virus by having conversations with them. There's no education in a conversation. It's basically heated politics. And that's why I encourage you all to have a book club or a book reading room to help break people's trance or hypnosis or mind virus on all the real politic that they like to spew out. El Normo and I and Zach and I and maybe Harry, maybe BB, I don't know, we've read Tanya as a solution or a way to help people break their mind virus, to wake them up, to say, shit, you know what? I'm being self-destructive doing and promoting what I'm saying. Because if you're rooting for the other team, you need to learn the rules of baseball. So that's my opinion. I'm complete. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, we should read the book about Kahanis for them and give them an idea of what being a Kahanis is, because they think that that's like being a terrorist. Like she actually mentioned that in the room earlier. So that's a very important. There's no mention of any kind of terrorist activities in Kahanis movement actually. So that would be actually a good book to read for them.
I want to criticize Israel about something. The other side has wonderful propaganda. Israel has shit for propaganda. I just found out, and for God's sakes, I'm educated. I just found out how many rockets have hit Israel this past year alone. Okay? Nobody in the world knows this. If I don't know this, nobody else knows this. Israel does not share information. People don't even remember what suicide bombers were. Okay? They're absolutely uneducated as to the history, the recent history of Israel. So I think we need some reality going on, because anytime I talk to a friend in Israel, it's like, oh, gotta go to the shelter, every fucking time they're running for cover. And I heard it was over 10,000 bombs that for this year. The Tanya, that's beautiful. I'm all for all of that stuff. Absolutely. It's a wonderful idea. Because people think, I don't know, what do we do? Make matzah, blood, or whatever.
Well, it's the moderator's job. If they're not going to read a book with the moderators, I mean, you might have to read to them.
Book club, John, and that's why you record, you share the rooms in another room. It's because if I had a book club room, there would be two people here. Me?
Well, that's okay. That's how you actually start doing tikkun olam. You can't repair the world until you repair other people and help repair them. They can't repair themselves.
But I think people are beyond that, John. I think people are beyond that, and they want to hear action and excitement and this and that. But
no one is beyond Torah. No one is beyond Torah.
Right,
It's the truth.
Right. You're absolutely right. But if we indulge ourselves in Torah and then we speak of what we learned and engage that in our conversations, like put it like this: any normal Jews wouldn't have given her a time of day. They wouldn't have spent 3 hours talking to her. I think it's because we fucking care. Because we do read Torah and Talmud and like we do believe in the Jewish faith and we do believe in like there's good, but we're not naive at the same time. So I think we are naive actually, but we're spending time with her, and I think that's a pretty Jewish thing to do.
No, it's fine if. I think it's fine if you spend. I think it's fine if you spend your time in loving, selfless kindness. But I'm a big promoter of education, and I don't think you can actually help cure people's mind viruses unless you use Torah or some type of wisdom education. And so you are admitting, in a way, you're spinning your wheels by having a 3-hour convo. I'm just saying, try to make use of your time more productively.
John, do you think that? Let's play this out here. Do you think that, like, for example, let's bring in all the people in our mirrors room here. They would come in here. You think they're gonna give the time of the day to sit here and fucking listen to that shit? You really think that, John? Come on.
No, I'm not saying there's a speck of dust out of place. I'm just saying I was very depressed one time, and very, very depressed. And I went to a Chabad rabbi, and he let me say my piece. And guess what his advice was to me? John, you got to be productive. And so I'm just reiterating that. At the time, I didn't necessarily like that response. But now, after reading more books, I do understand that our time really is truly very limited. And if you want to optimize the situation for Israel or yourself or other people on this app, reading a book is the best way to help optimize your time.
John, by reading a book, I have 2 questions for you. Number 1, by reading a book, are you being productive or are you being consumptive of other people's media? And number 2, when are you going to write a book?
Listen, wisdom and Torah is what I'm talking about, my friend, and I encourage all of you to pick up a Torah book today and read it.
I would consider it an accomplishment if I did a wash. My clothes are dirty.
Listen, I feel for what you're saying, and I agree, but the thing is, at the end of the day, these people don't want to learn. That's the thing. They have their narrative in their head, and they'll stick by it to the very end. That's it. So, I don't, like I said earlier, I don't care. I'll spend fucking 30 hours with that bitch. I don't care. I will sit there to expose all of her lies, and you know what? And I love the teamwork that we have with a lot of the people in here that do it as well, because it's just so easy to debunk. And at the end of the day, I like making people look stupid. So if she wants to come in here and make herself look stupid, by all means, come in here and make herself look stupid. It's not a problem. And then we give them the time of the day to actually say something and speak, right? When you go into the other rooms, they just kick you down as soon as they don't like what you say. So at least we do that here. Now, at the end of the day, I can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. Right, John? You woke up one day and said, you know what, I want to help myself, so that's why you went to the rabbi and talked with him. These people don't want help. They believe in what they believe, and they will to the end of the day, to the end of their life. That's it. Just like Hamas, it's the same kind of ideology. So that's how I see it.
And what about the people that are learning from the conversations that we're having with her, that are in the room, that were a little bit on the fence and didn't know how to express it, and it just sealed it for them, and they're like, you know what? It is propaganda. I am being indoctrinated. I learned something by listening to like Harry, El Normo, Devin, Samson. Wow.
I'm not saying your show's not good.
No, but what if one example of a conversation with her helps 3 other Jews?
No, that's fine. I'm not saying you wasted your time this morning or you will ever waste your time. I'm just merely advocating for every 10 hours of Clubhouse. More Torah. Yeah, Torah for breakfast, Torah for lunch, Torah for dinner.
Can I say something? My life was changed by Anne Frank, and I played her in high school. So I have a really, really deep connection to her. And what struck me about Anne is that one person, one child, gave somebody to focus on. And she is the face of the Holocaust. And she's reached more people than any kind of book or, well, it was her diary, but than any other kind of interference or, I'm sorry, I'm grabbing for words and I'm not doing very well. One person can have a great deal of influence, and there's something about that phenomena, and you can't really pick in advance what that'll be, but it's there. And I would love, just reading a little bit about Golda Meir is life changing, but yeah, anything from, and I like to study history through biographies, so that would be a really interesting way. And try, as far as teaching the Torah, try to get away from the Torah. You can't, because it's the basis of jurisprudence. Okay, it's the basis of everything in the world.
But I have to disagree, Karina. I think that's the problem. A lot of Jews are moving away from the Torah, and that's what's hurting. John, before you give me the thumbs down, I think Jews are actually really getting away from the Torah, as opposed to yesterday. I was at a ceremony where my cousin they bought a Torah in dedication of his late parents, my aunt and uncle, and we did a whole parade and this and that. It was amazing. It was so beautiful, and there was like 4 other Torahs, and we were marching in the street, and such a beautiful thing. And I brought my tefillin. And I rapped, and I was rapping a couple guys, but then there was like people that I know that are really good, and they're struggling with business and life, and and they look like they're doing amazing. And the rabbi asked them, you want to rap tefillin? And they're like, no. And then another guy, rabbi asked, the same guy, you want to do tefillin? He's like, no, I already did. And I looked at him, and I'm like, yo, bro, why don't you do it? He's like, that shit ain't for me. And I'm like, and I didn't want to pry and tell him like, you should. But like, how does a Jew get to that point where that shit ain't for him? Like before, when I started my company like 28 years ago, it was predominantly all Jews, and we would stop by the rabbi once a week, and everybody would rap tefillin, and then I catered a lunch, and we would all have lunch. And there was one Jewish guy, out of spite, on purpose, he's like, I don't rap, I don't do that shit. I'm like, how do you not do that? And to me, that was a big problem, because like we're all like, there's 95% of us are all Jews. Everybody's doing it. The goys, they wanted to rap tefillin. I was like, why don't you want to rap tefillin? He's like, oh, my father works for a cemetery, a funeral home, and he does such big blessings. We don't need to do that. And I'm like, wow, how fucking stupid are you? But no, but that's the problem. Where the simplest thing, and I actually timed it, how quick I can rap tefillin, is 3 minutes. 3 minutes of your day to give to people. It's an amazing thing, because they say give back to Hashem, but really you're giving back to yourself, because you are Hashem. So to give 3 minutes to yourself, like I think what you said is extremely important, and I'm really resonating on what you said, and it's very valid. And like to talk more about Torah and to talk about being a better Jew and to study and to ask those, the Jewish questions. And that's why like it's my favorite time at Pesach when, near the story about the child that asked the questions. But I think there's Jews that they just want to say they're Jewish, but they don't want to do anything Jewish.
Well, her role in the room, that woman Buttercup, was to, I think, jog out.
She's making us more Jewish.
this is, and I feel like, oh my God, this is the first time I feel safe to do the show. Or this is the first time any of my ancestors actually comfortable with me in the show. And that was years ago, and that means a lot. Wound up in a concentration camp. People because they have this heart that really has
as strong a defense of truth as anyone.
if you don't inject Torah or wisdom into any room, eventually the room will collapse because it becomes an echo chamber. So, I mean, having the contrarian position, your position is how you have a fun conversation and reveal a silver lining, which is always Torah.
Well, a wonderful way to go into to really go into a conversation, whatever it is to ask questions. So the first time somebody says, oh, the blood to make monsters, and instead of freaking out, which I do, I get very emotional, and I'm triggered very easily. But if you can be calm and go, wow, where did you hear that? Well, it's in the Talmud. Which Talmud or where or whatever. And you just kind of draw out. I mean, I've actually, quite honestly, I'm a therapist, I'm a family therapist. I worked with the Nazi. His daughter was very sick mentally, and I just went ahead and worked with the family for years. And the kid did really well, and the family got better as well. And when we ended the sessions, because it was student school, I got my supervisor. I mentioned my Jewish, and my supervisor said, "Why did you do this? Really unprofessional of you." But I was just being with you, and now my dad was in a camp, for God's sakes, and I lost my grandparents and my uncle in Auschwitz. So it's, and I grew up, and I'm sure it's better. I grew up hearing Nazis when I was 5. I had waking dreams, I guess they're called. So I'm very, very infused with the Holocaust and hatred for Jews. It's in my DNA. And I was able to, because there was a child involved, I was able to overcome all of that and work with this family. And I'm not saying it's going to happen with everybody, but this is what the Torah says. You change yourself, you do more good deeds, period. Pray more. I know it sounds silly, and I'm not really great. I love Allah, but I don't know the rules. I'm not a great too as far as, And I decided I want to say Shema 3 times a day. And I was like, I don't know if this is okay with Allah, but my reticence says it's not okay. I'm going to fight her. And I found out, yeah, it's okay. As a matter of fact, most Jews, religious Jews, do say Shema a few times a day. And, the clouds part, there's a spiritual realm that we're also existing in, and you have to experience the power of prayer. And I don't want to be too corny about it, but it really works. It's amazing. And, I would have been fired. I work with the government in the school system with children. I would have been fired if they knew that I was quietly praying every time I talked to a kid. Because I was. Because all healing comes from God. And that, if you look at these people who are full of hatred, they're brainwashed. I mean, on every newspaper, even Haaretz, right? There's Jew hatred. It's all over the place. So we're not looking at normal anything. How many of you have liberal friends that say, of course I'm not anti-Semitic, it's just, Israel.
Karina, in the chat, I put a recording I made. It's the prayers of Reb Nachman, and it's only about 28 minutes, but it's an incredible book. I read it, I don't know, 10 years ago, but I put it on YouTube. I put the link in the chat. If nobody's ever heard the prayers of Reb Nachman, you can hear me, John Kitover, reading them.
John, can you tell people the story of Rabbi Nachman? He's amazing. Hold on, I gotta call.
I can't really tell you the story, but I would encourage you to read the prayers because it's a program, a neurolinguistic program on how to communicate with the divine. So it's incredible. It's a 28-minute prayer recording about his prayers written in a book, translated from Hebrew. It's an unbelievable book.
Thank you so much. Sounds really good. I'm an NLP person. I've had good results with that therapy in the past. So it sounds really good. Thank you.
Yeah, they call it dialectic therapy. It's called reading a book. And if you read it out loud and listen to yourself reading it, the therapeutic effect is even more profound.
That's absolutely true. The word has a great deal of power, and especially when you're speaking the truth, it has an amazing amount of power. So, yeah, that's why we have to be careful with our words and not be manipulated by them. Like safe and effective. You gotta watch out for some words because they're manipulative.
I asked AI, I couldn't remember, but I had heard a story about life being compared to a long bridge, and that the aim on this journey of life is to walk this bridge, which life is compared to, and to not be afraid. And I said to AI, where does this come from in Jewish writing? And it does come. It might come from Rabbi Nachman or somebody related to that sphere of people.
Or maybe you can take that, read the songs of David. Maybe a good idea.
I remember a story from Rabbi Nachman. There's a book that when you get married, like a rabbi gave me it, and it was a whole book about Rabbi Nachman, and it talks about a story about a Jewish guy that he wasn't religious, and he slowly started to become religious, and he started paying attention to how many times or how much hours he was spending a day praying, and he started praying 5 hours a day. He would have 3 or 4 meals. He would sleep 8 hours. He would talk to people, and he said, "Wow, I'm wasting so much time talking to people, eating 3 meals, sleeping. I could be praying more." So he quit his job and started praying 14 hours a day, eating 3 meals, sleeping a little less. And then he started to get upset, and he's like, "This isn't enough." So then he got a little shock, and he started praying 20 hours a day. And he had 4 hours left, so he would sleep for an hour, he would eat his meals, and he said, "Wow, I'm wasting time here by having these meals. I should grind them up or make them into liquid. And I could sleep 15 minutes, use the bathroom, and he had it all calculated out." And he started playing 22 hours a day, and he left the rest for 2 hours. And he's like, "I could do more." And he stopped eating altogether, which in turn led him to not use the bathroom and no sleep. And he started praying 24 hours a day. And he started to feel so ill that he walked out of his shock, and he died in the middle of the center of the town. And everybody ran up, and nobody really engaged with him. But they're like, "What a tzaddik, this guy!" And everybody was running up, the Jewish thing. They were kissing his clothes and saying, "This guy's amazing! I can't believe it. He gave himself to Hashem 24 hours a day." So he goes up to heaven, and he's walking, and before you get to see God, there's the guy. And the guy goes, "Where the hell do you think you're going? With your head held like that, and you're so confident, you're just walking like you're going to see God." "But you know who I am? I pray 24 hours a day straight. I'm a super Jew." And the guy goes, "You're the worst Jew." And he goes, "Okay,
not to isolate yourself from society, not to be able to help anybody. So the whole lesson I got from that was be patient towards your fellow brethren, sister. They're going to ask you questions that are going to trigger you, but that's what you're here for. Not everything's going to be easy. I just checked in my history, the great story, my history on Iraq, and it says yes, there is a little piece of truth that aligns with the analogy you described. It comes from Rabbi Nachman of Islam, 1772 to 1810, a prominent Hasidic master. His famous teaching, "Now stand your back to the wall." Each time we are telling, we tell us if our footsteps to all the world, so we're not advocating my stride, and we'll bring it to the next thing. I'll try to help them operate as best I can. This is all it's in. That's right. There's something going on. People are using this as a way to gaslight the hardest ways possible through words, and it really doesn't come down to sin. And there's also the thing where there's a story too about Jews and having faith. So Jews are saying, just because we're in a sort of show, but you job with 16 times. It's not returns if you're right qualifications. The United States. He goes, yes. The shower said, absolutely. He said, if you're going to win, he said, yes. So how much is the jacket? $20 million. Transfer. He goes, I'll give you $5 million for taking it out. The guy goes, yes, $3,000. I just proved to you you don't have faith in the shot.
Well, I lost faith. I can't believe it because I was so sure because of all the things I've gone through in my life. And then, last couple of weeks when Iran was fucking with us, I actually went to bed wondering if Israel would exist the next day. Because the first time my faith would literally disappeared. And it was a horrible, horrible experience. And but I learned my lesson.
I don't think you lost faith. I think you just got your faith tested.
Okay, thank you.
The most amazing thing about losing your faith is all you have to do is pick up a new flavor book and reread back into the script.
I have a good, praying to God's little thing.
All you gotta do is read a book, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoever was here when I was telling the story, just now.
Yeah, it's amazing how if you just start talking about Toyota and you lead people back to the source, materials, all the other propaganda and real politics just melts away in the face of the beautiful shining light of the Toyota. Yeah, but I'm here the air conditioner running, so most people can't hear. Yeah, you can click my profile and view my YouTube URL, and you can watch me in my Trump hat having a conversation.
Nice to meet you.
Well, even if you were to kick them, you would just be creating a $5 a month subscription revenue for Clubhouse Anonymous. So if you want to help the app grow and help them make more money, you should kick them just so they have to get anonymous. Just so they can sit here and listen anonymously because you decided to kick them. But listen, I just want to say, I asked Buttercup, who's now returned to the room, about an hour ago, or 2 hours ago, tell us your definition of Zionism. She told us her definition of Zionism, and I gotta say, Buttercup, you basically come to these rooms to do real politics. I think your communication is political, and therefore I encourage the moderators to limit their communication with you only if you're willing to engage in reading Torah or some type of wisdom material, as opposed to spewing real politic all the time nonstop. I would just encourage you to read a book to the room or join a book club or the moderators to do more education through reading books, as opposed to letting people run their motor for 3 hours straight. That's like letting a car sit in your garage in your house and run its motor for 3 hours with no exhaust. Now, who am I to judge if you like to breathe, toxic fumes? But I'm just saying, Buttercup, when you park your car in the house, all you do is fill the room up with toxic fumes. I would encourage you to open your garage door and turn the motor off and maybe read a book. I don't know. I hope that was constructive, criticism and feedback, and not, too harsh. Because I do think, you are needed. You pose the contrarian position, so without you, there really is no conversation. But I would just encourage people, for every 10 hours of Clubhouse conversations, maybe read a book for 10 minutes. 10, not 11. 10, not 9. Books.
And you feel free to put some books in the chat. I recommended some books. Some people recommend books right now. So reading is started with a limited chat. But that's what this is for. Share ideas.
Oh, I agree. I just encourage everybody, for every 10 hours of Clubhouse and heated conversations about real politics, maybe try reading a book for 10 minutes on the app. For every 10 hours that you spew your toxic dust.
That's not how to use Bob. That's not her job. I don't know who this lady is, but people said that they've known her for a while. Somebody said that I know said that they had her blocked already, and so she changed her.
Funny how she keeps saying, like, I've only been out for 5 days. Then she said 4 days. Then she said she said 3 days.
I also want to point out that I find it amazing that we call, the listening gallery the goo, because that's like the gulag. And essentially, communists who build gulags ultimately end up residing in their own gulag.
Studying the rise of Stalin, studying the Cold War, and the Palestinian attack on the very existence of a Jewish state, the very idea of Jewish sovereignty in the land, which is now, of course, established, not going
it's just a series of delegitimizing of the very premise of Jews and of Jewish sovereignty. For example, there's a reason why they call the brutal medieval butchery of October 7th the Al-Aqsa flood. Think about it for a second. It's because they want to build their mosque on top of our temple and erase our existence. The way that, for example, they erase the existence of the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople by turning it into a mosque. The way they destroyed the Buddhist statues of the World Heritage Sites in Afghanistan. They want to erase any other identity. Otherwise, of course, they'd be willing just to live peacefully next to us, and they wouldn't be arguing over this piece of land or that piece of land. I should point out that the Al-Aqsa flood butchers, they don't care about Judaism or the West Bank. There was no way that this was going to improve their position in terms of land. The only thing that they wanted to do was destroy Jews and then to lure us into Gaza.
you know, the thing is, people are always going to have an extreme contrarian position in the game of politics. And the situation in Israel, its surrounding area, their own little political bubbles with Hamas, etc. I mean, de-escalation, harmony, peace, balance, all these things come through communication. And unfortunately, what can you do when you're fighting with suicidal, terrorists who are willing to go to the ends of the earth, to prove a point? So, and it's not just proving a point; it's they're in an all or nothing position. So, I don't know. Does anyone here have a solution, or is it just break the siege, end the war, fight it out, rescue the hostages? But I don't know. This is a quagmire, or it could be a Pyrrhic victory, or it could be a stalemate, or it could be, there's a lot of like game theory approaches on how to create the best optimal solution, which is unfortunately going to hurt a lot of feelings. There's a lot of people on this app and people in the real world whose feelings are going to get hurt at the final outcome, because every war has a beginning and an end, and that's just like relationships.
But the fact is, who has the best wisdom to fight harm?
Norm, did you know, since you were talking about the communism or Russian Soviets, I mean, the whole thing about Zionism is racism that came from there?
Yeah, of course, I remember very well. Believe it or not, yeah, I know this.
I just don't know if anyone else knew that.
So what we're facing is an ideology, which is known as Palestinianism. It's not really a statement, by the way. The leaders of the Arabs of Israel never asked for a state. It is why they don't have one. Sorry, multitasking. So, the Soviets, yes, created the idea of Palestinian nation in 64 under Arafat. Arafat's name is not Arafat. It's not Nasser Arafat. It's Abdul Rahman, etc., etc., etc. He's not from Palestine. He's from Cairo. And together they cooked up the terror campaign, the first and biggest terror campaign in modern history, based on the Bolshevik terror campaign, hijacking airliners, hijacking cruise ships, and striking civilians. This was like a sort of a step, a development in Palestinian terror. And what the
constitution.